today there is a willingness now, finally, and many of us that have been around this table for some years have been asking for demand management. Demand management, the great thing about TDM and transport or water demand management is it alleviates capital cost. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, Waitakere used to do it.
And if anybody can't get that, then please.
Waitakere certainly did it, but I mean, if it involves a lot of capital investment, there is a tip-over point, that's all I understand.
Mr. Chair, you're wrong. You're just wrong, please.
Easy, Tiger.
I think we're setting the objective for them. We're not telling them how to do it, and both of those points are important.
Yep, I've had a whisper in my ear. Rose, Rose, do you want to comment?
Through the Chair,
this has been discussed, though.
We do recognise that there are demand management targets for water care. They are a sinking lid on a per capita use every year. Auckland's per capita use is already quite low. Watercare have in the past advised, notwithstanding today's discussion on smart metering, have in the past advised that there is a point at which chasing every water leak in the system becomes quite capital intensive. So what we're inviting them to do in this letter is actually just say, go as hard as you can on the demand management with your customers, but when it comes to actually shoring up every leak in the system, we recognise that there's a tipping point and we don't want you to go past that point. So
I take that point, but I still sounds like an excuse why not to do it. Waiuku, smart metering, saved 22%. That was the trial. Why are we undertaking trials and then not proceeding on the information that we learned from these trials? No excuses, please.
We will certainly be looking at doing that, because that was being considered, Councillor Darby. Councillor Casey.
For as long as I've been on this council and the last one, it's always worried me about the Water Utility Consumer Assistance Trust, which is a trust set up to help people in hardship. And if we had a table this morning that showed us that the most they've ever given out in any year is 150 applications approved, which, when you consider the number of water consumers in Auckland, is kind of like 0.001%. So I'd like something in there that just encourages them to publicise more the work of the trust. We keep saying that to them, they keep agreeing to do it, but nothing ever happens. So if it could be in there somehow, that'd be great. It's something they say they're going to do, but they never kind of do it very well, especially in the south of Auckland and among migrant groups.
So we're getting the impression generally pretty happy with water care, just a demand management reference, or tightening up, toughening up there. Yep. Okay, Panuku. Eddie.
in the interest of time, I might just do this very quickly. Panuku's particular points are very simple and very quickly. We're just asking Panuku to integrate their plans in with other CCOs, particularly on transport and water care. We're asking them to collaborate with us on the Housing Infrastructure Fund because they've got information that we need for that process. They need to ensure the redevelopment projects meet the expectations of key stakeholders, particularly central government, and we hear good work going on there, but we just want to keep the pedal to the metal there. We need them to continuously work with us to review the asset divestment plans and to ensure oversight of council's housing for older people assets in conjunction with the Selwyn Foundation. And those are that's a quick summary of the key points for Panuku.
Councillor Cooper.
Right, so we're on Panuku now, yes? Okay. On page 19, in the key focus areas, and it's 4th bullet point down, limiting the number of locations to transform unlock. Is it possible to just clarify that? Because it could read that we stop some of what we've already agreed on, and that would be hugely disappointing for a lot of communities. Are we able to put, instead of limiting the number, maybe limiting additional locations? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I think so.
You didn't mean let's stop Onehunga, let's stop Henderson until we can see if we've done something somewhere else?
The rest of the sentence goes on to talk about until it can prove it can deliver on the locations already in those categories. So it's about limiting the growth as I read it,
Yeah.
if that's correct.
And they are coming back in the new year with a more detailed look at the unlocked ones
Yeah.
and the
Could we just add in limiting the
feasibility.
number of additional locations, just so it's really clear, because I don't want any of the communities like Onehunga
Yeah.
or Henderson to be thinking, we've got some way, and a lot of the local boards are being consulted by Panuku, and then,
Yeah, limiting the growth in number of locations, I think, would achieve it, wouldn't it, Linda?
as long as that refers to next year, because I think they want to add Avondale. We don't want
we've already
to
got
add
that.
so
We've already got that, so that's what I'm saying. I don't want anyone to think that we're going to stop what we're doing, because we
Okay.
need to do it.
Yep. Okay.
That's all.
All right. I think Councillor Sampson. Yes.
One of the things Panuku can help with regards to things that we necessarily haven't got the money to fund, is to look at other ways. And maybe, I'll give you an example of the Meadowbank Community Centre. For those of you who've been around a long time, we came for 6 years for that upgrade, blah, 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 didn't get it. Panuku came back and said, look, you could lease the land and put some apartments above it and still expand the community centre aspect to it. So somewhere that they could look at doing more of providing some thinking around that to help us go forward with projects in the local community that don't mean we have to fund the whole thing ourselves. I don't know how you put that in words, but get the gist.
It's just confirming that. So that's more of a one-off rather than a Panuku transformation project. So it's
Yeah, it's-
something that's really done under Dean's area,
Yeah, so we could
community
sort of,
facilities.
but
So
we should be encouraging to look at those
Yeah,
sort of
no,
business cases around that.
yeah, and that will be dealt with,
Yeah.
but as I say, by community facilities. So, all right, we've got Councillor Casey, the last one on this matter.
Oh, I talked to Alistair yesterday about this, and that was about the secret society. That was Panuku. Their agendas are kind of hidden in the confidential section, and that needs to be brought into the light. So really, just to add something in about that, I don't think any other CCO he's not here. He was here. I don't think any other CCO is quite as bad as Panuku is. I think they're just new and they haven't kind of got their head around it yet.
Come on,
Um,
Mr Chairman, really.
Sorry, Mr Chairman, is there a problem from Councillor Krupa?
Yeah, I'll speak next, if you don't mind, Mr
We're
Chairman.
doing well, guys. We're doing well. It's keep our chins
Part of
up.
it, in our general governance manual, we've got something about openness and transparency, but it obviously hasn't registered with Panuku that we actually mean that. So it would be to try and get as much of their confidential agenda into the public as possible. However you want to say that, but it should definitely be in there. My second one was about Roger's aspirations this morning to increase housing. It's not an aspiration, it's actually a want and need of this council to look at ways to increase our pensioner housing. So I'd kind of like that to know from them how they're going to do that. And it might take money, and it will take money, but they still need to come to us with a plan. And that's what we discussed this morning as well. So it's to meet our need to increase our affordable housing stock.
Following the council objective to improve and increase our housing stock. Councillor Darby and then Councillor Cooper.
Thanks. Mr Chair, the one I'm wanting to raise here is Panuku's, a recent creation of ours, and we've launched it into the unlocks and the transform categories, but we haven't launched it with a lot of capital. We're basically saying recycle and create financial and social and dividends out of that. What has been brought to my attention is the need within Panuku, given those parameters, that they need to balance up the financial and the non-financial attributes. And they need to do that through establishing like what's commonly referred to as and I'm sure Ms Tyndall will know about this, the total value analysis approach. And so I've got some words around that. It is an important part of their work, but we need to be confident that we don't just get financial outcomes, that we actually get social public realm outcomes.
We will note that, and they are doing that. They're actually doing that, and according to the John Dogood's area, they're pretty happy with how that's happening, but we can reinforce that.
So I'll
That's
send that
that's a
through.
thing. Yep. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you. I'm just concerned if we make Panuku's agendas too open, because when you're negotiating with private developers, you don't want to show your hand, and we don't want to drive the prices up because developers know what our limits are, and so that's my concern around that, and I think that's normal business practice. You have to be transparent until we have to be and confidential until we know, we can let those things go once contracts are signed, but I'm very concerned about being transparent and driving prices up to meet an expectation that we have of what we'll spend.
Yeah.
We need to be making savings as much as we can and get the best deals.
And that's point well noted. It's a very real issue. Councillor Mike Lee.
Mr Chairman, in terms of Panuku, we need to remember that it's a combination of two parent agencies, and one of them was Waterfront Auckland, which was set up formally as the Waterfront Development Agency, and in turn inherited responsibilities from a regional agency, C+ City. And C+ City was set up because there was huge public expectations and a will for a purpose waterfront development agency. And I was concerned when Waterfront Auckland was folded into Panuku that the focus would go off the waterfront. And I have to say, my worst fears have been realised after I had a walk around the waterfront last week. Firstly, Queen's Wharf, which was meant to be a wonderful interface between the harbour and the CBD, has been completely cluttered, not just with buildings, but with cars everywhere. It's a great big car park sticking out into the harbour. It's just appalling. The Wynyard Quarter development, which started off with a hiss and a roar 6 or 7 years ago, seems to have stalled. And there may be reasons for that, but again, if you take a walk around the Wynyard Point, it's just jam-packed with cars all along the grass verges. And so something which was meant to be aesthetic and a interface between the waterfront, C+ City, if you will, has been more or less trash. And so I think some focus on the continued development of Auckland's waterfront needs to be emphasised. Otherwise, it's going to get worse.
It's still up there in the top three of unlocked categories, but maybe there could be a reference to, a focus, continual focus.
So,
on
we had
the
ATEED
original.
worrying about dolphins in the harbour. Really? Is that their job?
So anyway, that is noted, Councillor Lee. Okay, and I've got anyone else on Panuku? Right, we've got 3 more to go, guys. We're almost there. RFA, and then the real meeting starts.
Don't be like that.
Mr Chair, do you want ATEED or RFA first?
Oh, sorry, I flicked it over. I was getting enthusiastic there. ATEED, be gentle, guys. Okay.
So 4 quick points about the ATEED letter. So this is page 23.
No more logos designed by me.
The first one is a reference to the proposed visitor levy and an invitation for ATEED to have input on designing and implementing it. The second one is really just urging them to really focus on prioritising their work and ensuring focus on council priorities and the economic development strategy. The third point is around strengthening ATEED's capacity to facilitate economic development in less prosperous parts of Auckland. And the final point is about ATEED's role in pushing and promoting Te Toa Takitini. Thank you.
Good, there's no hands up about ATEED, so we can move on to RFA.
No more
We will move
logos.
on.
Oh, can I just
No
have a
more
question?
logos.
Just
Going
one
twice.
question
Logo
Yes.
designed by
about
me.
Councillor Cooper?
process. Just about process. So, if there's something that's going on and it's very much out there in the public, what's the process around directing ATEED? Can it just come in another form of public admonition, or does it need to come back through to the appropriate committee to decide on a course of action if it's outside what's already agreed, or say if something's already in the agreed, like you've already got a budget for bidding for events or something like that, and it would be normally an operational decision. What's the process around that? Because I'm a bit confused about
Well,
what's been happening
I know in the last month
in
or
the
two,
last while or
there's
so.
been a visit to the 27th floor.